Hi, friends and family,
Welcome to Hope After Addiction
with your hosts, Katie Comer.
and Chelsea McLeod.
Hi, welcome to Hope After Addiction. We're so happy that you've joined us today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Loving fall. How are you?
I know. I was thinking about that too. It is fall and it's so pretty. I love fall. I love the burr months.
I do too. Just cozy.
All the burr months.
Yeah.
So good. Gearing up for Halloween. The kids are getting excited about
Are
trick-or-treating. Yes.
It's just hard to believe that we're here. Even rebooking my clients, it's been Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I'm like, what?
I know. It's
How
weird.
in the world? Yeah.
Yeah. So did you trick-or-treat growing up?
I did. We did neighborhoods and we did a lot of trunk or treat.
See, we did trunk or treats. We never did trick-or-treating.
Yeah. We definitely stayed away from Halloween stuff, but we did
the thing called Hallelujah parties.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we did. It was like a festival.
Yeah.
But it was like, you know how they have those trunk or treats for the cars, but this was inside and there was games stations and stuff.
Fun.
And so we never really trick-or-treated except for my grandparents' house. And so we trick-or-treat now with our kids just in our my sister's neighborhood.
Yeah.
We go there and we make it like a family thing and eat dinner together and then go
chili.
Yeah, actually.
We've been making that. I'm
know?
like, it's just that time of year.
Oh yeah. It was
Yeah.
actually we do the Petros, where you put the you know what I'm talking about? Petros. Do you know what Petros is?
I don't think
A lot of people don't. So I didn't know if you did. It's Fritos.
Yeah.
You know Fritos?
Yeah.
And then chili
Mm-hmm.
and cheese.
Okay, John
then
does
mix it.
Fritos in his. Okay, then he
So
knows
it's
what
a
it is.
Petros.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Petros is actually like a name of a type of what that is.
Okay.
And I'm from East Tennessee, and I think that's where it originated.
Nice.
And so some people don't know what Petros is because they've never seen a Petros.
Yeah.
So, but that's what that is. So
Learned something new because I got chili stuff the other day, and John was like, "Yes, I was just thinking about this."
yeah.
Did you get Fritos? No, I
No.
didn't. So I keep forgetting. I've got to add that to my list when I make chili.
Adam puts Cheez-Its in his.
Oh,
Think
I
about
think
it.
I might like that
Think about it.
for sure.
Because it's a cracker, but it's also cheese.
I love that.
I mean, it's kind of genius. I thought when I married him, I was like,
Yeah.
Are you
that's
are
genius.
you a genius?
Yeah. See, Mama always did homemade
them up.
cornbread. That was
Cornbread,
So
I like
I'm
cornbread.
always used to that. Then
I like cornbread the best.
you get here and it's crackers in your chili. Fritos, crackers, Cheez-Its, all the things.
So anyway, yeah, we'll probably do chili, go trick-or-treating, and have a blast.
Yeah. Spend time with family.
Yeah. So anyway,
So sweet.
so yay for family. So today we are talking about pain. And we're talking about is it just your perspective really on pain?
Yeah.
And is it what did you say it was?
Perspective or poison?
Poison. Yeah. So perspective or is it like a poison in your mind? So because inevitably if you're listening to this podcast, you're dealing with some sort of pain, right? Specifically addiction. And sorry, there's a little fly. Specifically addiction. And there's a lot of trauma, a lot of pain that can come with your walk, with this road of recovery. And you've experienced relapse. You've experienced where you don't trust them. There's just a lot of pain that comes with your story, that's come with our story, and how we use that pain in our life is a perspective or a poison in your life. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what it's been like for us and maybe just some encouragement for you all. So you want to get started?
Sure. Yeah, this was, I love this subject because we work on this a lot in the retreats that we do.
Okay.
Just ridding it and recognizing it, calling it out. And I think about that because years of like my dad leaving and the trauma with my brother and, my divorce, all the things I had buried pain. So I was living with it, lots of pain, but buried it. So I wasn't dealing with it. And then started going through this stuff with John, and I I wouldn't say wallowing in it. I was frozen.
Hmm.
I was stuck. I was shocked. You know, when something happens or you get news or you're like, I mean, you're literally, you're frozen. It's a trauma response.
Yeah. Yep.
But that is one that when you come to the end of yourself, you are so ready to figure out how to fight that pain to release it. And so I was talking to a friend this week that's going through kind of a similar situation of what we had. And, you know, I told her, I said, I met a depth of myself that I didn't know existed in pain, which was a precious place to be. But I also had to learn how to quit clinging to my pain so that I could find the freedom. And so when we look at perspective versus poison, it is a choice. You have a choice. Do I cling to it and let it literally run the rest of my life? Or do I deal with it? And so I say on here all the time, feelings buried alive will never die. So you have that pain and that hurt in there. It's never going to die if you don't deal with it.
Yeah.
If you deal with it and just head on, it will die. It will minimize. And so I was actually thinking about fall earlier or last night when I was working on this, and just think about when leaves die, like in the fall, they fall off. Think about, and I'm such a visual, so if a tree in the fall kept all of its dead leaves, all of them, for years, I mean, you have an oak tree that lives hundreds of years. If those leaves never fell off, that tree would never survive, or it would be a very unhealthy tree. And so if you think about it like that, like we have to shed the pain of what life has given us to be able to thrive and to have those new leaves of life. Because if we don't, it's poison.
Yeah. I love that. I love that visual. But yeah, I was thinking about this and how it related to me. So when you talk about dealing with the pain, obviously when I think of how I dealt with the pain, because they're going to want to know, our listeners are going to want to know, okay, but I'm in so much pain. How do I deal with it? How do I shed that? How do I get rid of the pain and not let it consume me and not let it be that tree where it's just like consuming and letting me die inside? So for me, the obvious ones that I think about, but I know that you've done a lot more research and like you said, you've done stuff with that. I forget what you said. Retreats and stuff with that. So for me, I'm thinking of, okay, so I went to counseling. That obviously helped me deal with my pain and how to deal with it healthy. I had some great accountability partners when I was in the middle of all of Adam's addiction. I was able to be very open and honest with. I needed that. You know, he didn't want me to be open and honest for so long. And then I was like, I don't care. And I started being open and honest with just a few of my friends. I felt that were a safe place for me.
For sure.
Dealing with that pain. What are some ways that you found in your research that helped deal with the pain so that it didn't consume and become like poison?
Well, here's another way to think about it too. I don't know if you've ever had something cut off your skin or burnt off your skin. Like I've had a couple of just the pre-cancer places, and that burn hurts so bad. It's like I dread going in there because I'm like, ugh, I don't want to be burnt for 2 days. Like I don't want to hurt, but I have to feel that burn for that cancer to not literally get in there and take over my whole body. So that's one of the things, is facing the emotions, feeling the emotions. So a lot of times when that pain comes up, we literally just stuff it down, which is what I did for years. Because it was too uncomfortable. I didn't want to feel it. But even that perspective is like, you have to feel that burn. You have to feel that uncomfortable to be able to work through it. There's even a counseling technique, and I'm trying to remember the name, but it's a recessive, like you have to tell the story over and over and over and over. So by the end, it doesn't numb it, but it dampers down. It's not such a shock and a surprise to you. And that's one method that you can go through in counseling, is to repetitively tell the story, like detailed, to get it through and to get it out. Another thing, let's see. Well, I'll go to this because one of the couple of the little tips, but more visual to this. Y'all, I've talked about the burn on my hand when I was a little girl,
Yeah.
and I laid my hand on a kerosene heater in Papa's shop. And so my entire hand was a mess,
Yeah,
just like
blister.
third-degree burn. It was
Mhm.
bad. So it would start healing, and I'd bump into a wall, and it would break open and start scarring or bleeding again. And that was normal for a little bit.
Mhm.
Like in the beginning of addiction and recovery, you're going to bump into a wall.
Mhm.
You're going to have a trigger that's going to kind of break that wound open, and it's going to bleed a little bit.
Mhm.
But as we go on, I had the choice. I could continue as I was healing to break that wound open myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that by example of going back and reading the old text messages,
Mm.
looking at the old pictures. That is my choice to go back and break that wound open. So when I say that, like your body wants to heal itself, we have to quit going back in and digging up old wounds.
Yeah.
So it's like I wrote down here is get rid of the pictures that take you back. I went through, we were even doing the, what do you call it? The clips where we go back, the befores and
Oh,
afters. And
yeah.
I didn't have
Oh,
a lot
yeah,
of them
that's
because
right.
I went through my phone, and anything that brought back a painful feeling, I got rid of it.
Wow.
I don't need to go back and remember that face of his. I don't need to remember that stuff. The old text messages, I had one pop up recently from a friend of his, and it hurt seeing it, and it brought up all these old feelings, and I'm like, get rid of it. Delete the
Yeah, why
text.
do you need to
Delete
have it? Yeah.
you going back and digging up that stuff. You won't ever heal. And so then you go to that perspective. If I keep digging up stuff, I'm going to get an infection, and it's literally going to go through my whole body and could kill me.
Yeah.
And so when you say poison, that's what I mean is by perspective, use your pain as your pedestal, or poison, choose to let it run through your body.
Yeah. And I talked a little bit about excuse me, a little bit about this on the last podcast about what God's teaching us and how there's a healthy
Yes.
Yeah. Way of remembering the pain, because if you don't, you don't want to be walked over. You don't want you know what I'm saying? Like there's a healthy way to remember the pain.
Yes.
Because you don't want to never remember it.
Right.
Right. Because I think that there's a healing in that, where if you never remember it, then I feel like I'm trying to word my words here. Like there's like a what am I trying to say?
I mean,
there's a healthy way to remember pain.
Yes, because even like what we talked about with the verse the last episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that remembering what God has done is a good way to bring peace about what has happened.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think that they're getting rid of all that stuff, like you said, is so important. And I never even thought about that. You know what I mean? But just getting rid of it, getting rid of it. But then also knowing that God is good and remembering what he has brought you through.
Yeah.
And unfortunately there is relapse in the world that we live in, and just kind of remembering, you don't want to dwell on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. I think that there is a way of remembering the pain in a healthy way.
Yes. Yeah.
Of going to your counselor, continuing to go to your counselor, talking to your friends about some of the stuff that you've gone through. And so I think that there's a healthy way of remembering the pain, but then I think there's also an unhealthy way that I think a lot of people do. The triggers and they can consume you. And so you're almost like a helicopter, a helicopter wife or a helicopter parent, and they can never feel freedom in their recovery. They always feel like they're like what they were in the past.
Yes.
Because you're so focused on the pain that they caused you.
Yep.
And I've talked to so many women about, I don't know if I can ever trust them. And that's like one of the biggest things. We might need to do another episode on trust, but I don't know if I can ever trust them. And that, like I said, is the number one thing I get. But I always in the conversation with them saying, but at some point you have to release control back to God and learn to trust him. You have to be open to that feeling of being able to trust them again.
That's
and
true.
so there's a healthy way of remembering the pain,
Yeah.
but there's an unhealthy way of remembering the pain.
And I'm glad you clarified that
Yeah.
because that is exactly what it goes back to is
Yeah.
we have the choice. And in the beginning, when I would wallow in it,
Yeah.
John would say, why are you going back to a house that you don't live in? And I just want to like punch him,
I know. I've been there.
Because there is like a healthy, like it's a real pain. It's a real feeling. It's a trigger. Like there are parts of me that are going to pop in that door and be like, all right, God, I forgot. I surrendered it to you because we don't know the outcome.
Yeah.
We don't know relapse. We don't know the future. But I can choose to go sit in that house and make myself comfortable, or I can like pop in the door and be like, you know what, you're right. I don't live here anymore, and fight it the right way. And that's hard because he says that. I'm like, oh, those are fighting words, because like you haven't been on my side. You don't know that.
You don't know.
You don't know what it feels like.
I remember that. I actually remember, I think, where I was standing one time. And this might be where y'all are at watching this. And so I hope you find some encouragement in this. But I remember when Adam first came home, I'd actually moved to Middle Tennessee. And so he had been in the program probably for like 9 or 10 months at this point. So he had been in the road to recovery for quite a while at this point. And I moved to Middle Tennessee to be with him, and he moved home with me. And I was like really struggling with something, not necessarily with him. But it was just something I was struggling with. And he goes, why don't you go and just like read the Bible? And I go, why are you trying to lead me right now? Because of all the stuff that you've done, what in your right says that you can lead me? I'm so much better than you. I mean, I didn't say that to him, but I felt that. That's what my heart was saying. You've caused me so much pain that I'm pushing you to the side. But I just remember him being so sweet. Why don't you just go just be with the Lord? And I go, you're the worst.
Right. Why don't you go outside?
I remember feeling that. And I thinking back to it, I'm laughing now, but I was so mad at him because of the pain that he caused, that I was not letting the Lord use him anymore. And so I had to work through that. I had to work through letting him be able to lead our family. We didn't have kids yet, but lead me. And eventually lead our family and trusting in what God has done in his life.
And I think that is, when you say that, is the greater perspective of this topic, because we can live in a place where well, you hurt me. You owe me. I am entitled to you healing me. John's never responsible for my healing. God and myself are responsible for chasing after God for my healing. And so I think that is the greater perspective of this podcast, is that you did hurt me and cause a lot of pain, but I'm responsible for my healing. And that's a big one because that's hard, but that's where I say take charge. And even, when you choose the poison side, I was thinking about this. I have somebody very dear to me that's older, much, much older, and had gone through a hard time. I know she'll be okay with it, but
much older.
But she tells some stories. And I looked at her one day, I said, from years ago, I was like, have you forgiven them? Because for years they've lived with bitter. They've moved on with their life. They have a whole new life, but that bitterness has taken seed inside of them and has literally grown into their heart. And so that's what I think that I want to, and the retreats have done that, is chase after that healing so that you don't become 80 years old and are still bitter about that person, because it is poison to us. It doesn't poison them. It doesn't poison them in the least bit. It hurts us.
It hurts us.
And that's another, I think I've talked about it, but The Body Keeps Score is a really, really, really good book. It's a lot of scientific stuff, but about how when we don't deal with this pain, how our bodies keep score of all the years. And there was actually, I found last night, there was a study in 2009 where people holding grudges and not dealing with this stuff, it led to, there's a lot of this stuff, heart disease, stomach ulcers, chronic pain, many disease, because our body manifests that. Like me holding on to the pain my dad caused for 26 years manifested in my body. And I had that story of forgiveness and of giving up that pain, and I was able to have Jasper. And I have no signs of kidney disease, but that pain from a little girl manifested in my body. But it wasn't until I decided at 25 that I got to get rid of this. And so that's, I think, the encouragement behind this episode is to encourage you. Like, you don't have to wait on anybody else to help you deal with this pain.
Yeah.
Nobody. I didn't have a relationship with my dad, but I
Yeah.
knew I didn't want to feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
I knew I didn't want bitterness anymore. I knew I didn't want to be angry anymore. And so you have that power.
Yeah.
You and Jesus, like, he's all you need for healing, because you don't know the outcome with anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I listened to a podcast this morning and she was saying they had lost a son to cancer, and her husband chose a road of addiction and infidelity, and they've chosen to kind of reconcile. But she said, I don't know the outcome. I don't know if he's going to choose alcohol or drugs again. I don't know if he's going to choose women again. But what I do know is that God has given me peace right now, and he's the one that can walk me through and save me.
Yeah.
You know,
It's powerful. Yeah.
so
It's a powerful perspective.
it's but these retreats changed us, because I'm like, we can hold on to it, or Jesus, we can chase after what you have for us.
Love that.
Separately or together.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, you're listening to this because you have pain. You've walked through a tremendous amount of hurt in your life. And we hope that this has offered some sort of encouragement to know that you can heal.
Yeah.
You know, you can heal from this pain. And like, you know, Chelsea said, you have to rely on yourself and God. And I think that's so powerful. You don't have to wait on anybody else but yourself and God. Get with God, get in the Word. If it helps, get a Christian counselor. I think that's also helpful to kind of just work through some of those feelings. But just have an encouragement to know that, you know, whatever you walk through, there is healing in that. So we hope that you have found some encouragement today when talking about some of the hard stuff, just that we've walked through, and that I know that you're walking through. And so I just hope and pray that you have found that encouragement. If you're listening to us on YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe, comment. If this has encouraged you, we love your comments. If you are watching this on Instagram or Facebook, we hope that you share it, get the word out of who we are, because you just never know. You never know who might need to hear this specific podcast about pain. If you know somebody's going through this, send this to them. And we hope that you have a blessed day, and we will see you next week.